Point is this: Donald Trump did not care about the threats of violence. He did not condemn them. He made no effort to stop them. He went forward with his fake allegations anyway. One more point. I would urge all of those watching today to focus on the evidence the committee will present. Don't be distracted by politics. This is serious. We cannot let America become a nation of conspiracy theories and thug violence.
Well, it already is. But nice try. Okay, so yesterday was unbelievable. It was emotional and it was fact-based, and it walked through the intimidation that the Trump administration had placed squarely on state legislators and people who were just ordinary poll workers, people who volunteered to count ballots in Georgia. It centered on the Speaker of the House of Arizona, Rusty Bowers, who told you that his family had been threatened, that he had, I mean, this was an amazing story, right? That his daughter was very, very gravely ill. She actually passed away in January of 2021. And she was in their house, Rusty and his wife's house, pretty much hospice care. Okay. And people are outside of his house constantly screaming at him, calling him a pedophile, threatening his family. And his daughter, who was literally dying, was literally leaving this world in the loving arms of her own family in their home how they cared for her in her last minute. And she became concerned and upset about what was happening to her parents. Who does crap like that? Donald Trump. Conspiracy theorists, thugs, violent thugs. And Rusty Bowers, yesterday was telling us how his oath was more important to him than any one man, and his oath to the Constitution, and his oath to, protect and defend the United States, and all of these things, right? And that it just was so violative of his beliefs in the Constitution and in the Creator, okay, that just because you asked him to do a thing doesn't mean he would do the thing, but he did entertain looking at evidence. And if Rudy could have produced some evidence that would have persuaded him that things were, somehow rigged in Arizona, he may have gone along. And he took many phone calls from Rudy, and he had meetings with Donald Trump and meetings with this one and that one. And, but they couldn't produce any evidence. Thank God they didn't produce anything phony, fake, or fraudulent. But still, he refused. He refused to send, he refused to organize another special session of the legislature in order to throw out the legitimately selected electors and send a fake slate of electors, either by itself or in tandem with the legitimately selected elector. I mean, this is just so unbelievable. So yesterday we heard about all the attempts that were made to the scheme to pressure state officials. And we heard from Georgia. We heard from Brad Raffensperger. We heard from Gabriel Sterling. And we got a little walkthrough through that unbelievable phone call that lasted over an hour. That phone call is just, it's mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing. And, normal people like us, meaning politics isn't everything, common sense is, peace is, security is, moving forward is, tackling and solving problems is, raising family, paying our bills. That's what we do. It's what we think about. It's what we care about. But for us, I mean, to hear that phone call where he's literally saying to them, I won by 400,000 votes. And then in the next breath saying, you just need to find me 11,870 votes, because that would be one more than Biden got. So in the same breath, he knows there was no such thing as 400,000 fraudulent votes. And in the next breath, he's saying he knows exactly what the number is and he needs them to be found. And come on, guys, just do it. Just do it. Then he downshifts into threatening lawyers, what's his name? Ryan Germany, who was the lawyer for Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, saying, this isn't good for you. This really isn't good for you. And he's calling election investigators and shaking her down and saying, you will be praised. You will be, you will be mightily rewarded. Okay. He only knows a few, things, and saying all that. And you would think, as a normal common sense person, that would be enough to prove that the president of the United States, A, was seeking to defraud the United States, B, was extorting people to do criminal acts with regard to a free and fair election. And you would think that he would be in jail by now, but you would be wrong. Because for some reason, in this country, if you broke the law repeatedly and on tape and in full view of the public, and you threaten people and intimidate people, and you defraud the United States, and you're constantly being, you're constantly paying for the settlement of civil suits against you that allege fraud with regard to a charity foundation, with regard to a phony university, you would think that it would be a no-brainer when you had telephonic tapes, when you had proof. But it hasn't happened yet, because Donald Trump has weaponized a tiny sliver of the population, and that tiny sliver of the population is ready to kill people for him. This is his mob. These are his enforcers. These are crazy, bat crap, crazy people who somehow have decided that man is more important than democracy. The good news is there are fewer and fewer and fewer of them as they do acts of violence, as they, perpetrate acts of violence, and they're shot in the middle of perpetrating these violent acts. And 800 of them have already been charged, and more of them will be charged. And we know some of them are organized like the Proud Boys. Others of them are organized like the Oath Keepers. And they've been charged with some of the most severe charges that our criminal code provides for. And that would be conspiracy to commit sedition, seditious conspiracy. Now, my feeling about what's going on is simple, and it's been the same. It's been constant. You guys who have podcasts, you can go rerun, rewind. You can go look it up. You can listen to it again. My theory is this. Everything will be combined into one case, one giant RICO case, one racketeering case. Everything. The intimidation, the fraud, the violence, the incitement, the conspiracy to defraud the United States, the conspiracy to insert yourself into a free and fair election and undo all of it. I even believe that there's criminal charges that might come out of that testimony yesterday that was given by Shay Freeman Moss and her mom, Ruby Freeman, because they were threatened within an inch of their lives. Their lives were turned upside down. Ruby Freeman, the FBI told her she wasn't safe in her own home. She had to literally leave her own home. And this is an ordinary American who was doing her civic duty, which she loved doing, and that was being an election person, somebody that volunteers to count ballots, somebody that sits there and goes through all the paper ballots. And her daughter followed in her footsteps, and even the grandma who told Shay what a precious thing the vote is, she was threatened.